What's up, everyone? This is Al Mack from Spark Sports, and we're putting a bow on our coverage for tonight's ONE Championship on TNT event featuring the former UFC Flyweight champion Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. He's taking on Adriano Moraes for the ONE FC Men's MMA Flyweight Championship. This event will also see former UFC Lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez. He steps into the cage for the third time in his ONE FC career. He takes on one of the top ranked 170 pounders in ONE Championship in the Moldovan Luri Lapakis. So we got some betting odds on the board for 3 MMA bouts on this card tonight. We're going to break it all down. I'll be giving my best bets for each fight. But before we do that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you can follow all of our betting action at Spark Sports Bets on Twitter as well as on Instagram. And most importantly, keep it locked to SparkSports.ca. We got a bunch of upcoming MMA and combat sports betting content. We're breaking down Bellator 256, UFC on ABC2, some more ONE Championship fights next weekend, and then even some boxing coming up as well. So again, catch all that content at SparkSports.ca. All right, let's get into this. The first fight, just a reminder, this card goes down tonight, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, live on TNT in the United States, as well as on YouTube in Canada on the ONE Championship YouTube channel. Everywhere else around the globe, you can catch it on the ONE Super app. All right, so the first MMA fight on the card with odds posted is a 185-pound bout between the American Tyler McGuire, and he takes on the Russian Raymond Magomedov, and it's a pretty rough name to pronounce. Both fighters have just one loss in their professional MMA careers. McGuire 2-1 with 6 wins by submission, 2 wins by TKO, while Magomedov comes in with a 7-1 professional record, 4 wins by TKO, 2 by submission. And we've seen Magomedov open up as a slight favorite, but over the past little while, he started to take some money, and he sits now right about minus 170, with McGuire coming back as the plus 150 underdog. And I think the market is on the right fighter here. The Russian Magomedov, he's going to have a 4-inch height advantage on McGuire, and it looks like ONE Championship is setting up Magomedov for a shot at the title. They set him up with a title eliminator fight in January. That fight ended up falling through, so he ends up in this spot against Tyler McGuire. And McGuire, he already had a shot at the 170 belt back in 2018. He fought Zeb Katastem. He lost by knockout just 28 seconds into the fight. Left in the fight. It was a decent performance by McGuire, but his most recent performance against Agley and Thani, a fight that he should have won rather easily. It ended up being a close decision, somewhat of an underwhelming performance. And then meanwhile, the Russian Magomedov, his last fight was impressive. He knocked out the undefeated Edson Marquez in just under 2 minutes. And again, they booked him against the former 170 champion Zeb Katastem, and that fight fell through. And now they're putting him up against the guy that Katastem beat to gain the vacant belt back in 2018 in McGuire. So if you're backing the steam, and if you're backing what seems to be the guy that the promotion wants to win, you got to go with Magomedov here, especially if you're still getting that decent minus 150 line that you can get. Although that current line at minus 170 is kind of iffy. And we'll talk about what you can do with that as we go through this card. And then as for the betting total, it's unfortunate because we had a bunch of prop odds at 1xBet earlier this morning. So I was able to get a few picks in on the props, but it looks like those props have come off the board. But I did end up getting fight doesn't reach round 3 at minus 102. And we've seen 6 of the last 11 fights in this division with odds posted, so 6 11 fights since 2019. So there's probably been about 18 fights, but 11 of those with odds posted. 6 of those 11 have gone under the betting total. And then you look at 3 of Magomed Delaev's last 4 fights have ended by stoppage. So it looks like the clearest path to victory for me is the Russian gets Maguire out of there in the first 2 rounds. So I got Ryman Magomed Delaev at minus 148 at BetCris in this one. And then that round 3 starts no prop from 1xBet that I had earlier in this morning. It's not on the board anymore, but that was at minus 102. Okay, so the next fight here, we got the former UFC lightweight champion, the underground king, Eddie Alvarez, takes on Luri Lapakis. Alvarez comes into this bout with a 1-1 record in ONE Championship. He lost his debut to Timo Nastyukin, who knocked him out 4 minutes into the first round. But Alvarez bounced back with a first-round victory over Edouard Folyang. Before coming to ONE Championship, Alvarez had a 4-3-1 run in the UFC, where he captured the lightweight gold. And before that, he had a spectacular 9-1 record in Bellator that dates back all the way back to the first Bellator pay-per-view ever in April of 2009. So Alvarez, 37-1 pro record, 80% finish rate. He's won 18 fights by TKO, 6 by submission. He comes in as the minus 170 favorite in this one. Now his opponent, Luri Lapakis, 2-1 in ONE Championship, and he's coming off a devastating first-round loss to the Canadian ONE FC lightweight champion, Christian Lee. And Lee took out the then undefeated Lapakis just under 2 minutes into the first round of the fight. You can check that out on YouTube. That fight's there. All the ONE FC fights are on YouTube, which is absolutely excellent. So Christian Lee ended up winning the title in 2009 in the lightweight Grand Prix, which was just a complete disaster of a tournament. If you think the lightweight woes in the UFC have been rough, get a load of this saga, okay? So Alvarez lost in the opening round to Timo Nastyukin, but was given a pass into the second round because Nastyukin was unable to compete due to an injury. And then Alvarez ended up beating Ed Folyang, setting himself up for the trip to the finals. But then ultimately he can't make the fight due to an ankle injury. The fight is rescheduled, and then COVID hits. So then Christian Lee steps in, returning from the injury that forced him out to vacate the belt, which is the whole reason that they had to have this tournament. He gets inserted into the finals. He wins the championship against Saigid Arslan Aliyev. That's a rough name to pronounce as well. Saigid Arslan Aliyev, and then his first title defense after winning the tournament against in the Grand Prix final is against the guy that Alvarez is fighting here tonight, Luri Lapakis. So, and then he absolutely starches him in that fight. So then to tie up all the loose ends here, the Canadian Christian Lee, the lightweight champion next Wednesday, he's going to fight Timo Nastyukin, the guy who defeated Eddie Alvarez in the first round, but then couldn't continue on the tournament. So then those two guys are squaring off next weekend for the ONE Championship lightweight gold. And then, which again, I feel like similar to the Magomed Delaev fight, it looks like they're setting up Eddie for a shot here, because that would make the most sense if Christian Lee is able to beat Nastyukin, or if he can either fight Christian Lee, that will be a great fight, or he fights the rematch against the guy that beat him in his debut, Timo Nastyukin. So getting all that out of the way, let's break down the fight here. And to be honest, we haven't really seen the best of Eddie Alvarez as of late. He looked pretty decent in his last fight against Folyang, but in that second round of the Grand Prix, he had that ankle injury. But apart from that, he got starched in that first round against Nastyukin in his ONE Championship debut, which led to the knockout. And then his last win before that is to Justin Gaethje way back in 2017. So when you're looking at Alvarez at line at minus 170, well, I do think he likely wins this fight. I think the fight is a lot closer than what the line indicates. And then again, unfortunately, we had some prop odds on this fight that were up late last night, but they've come off the board. So I was really hoping to get Alvarez inside the distance at plus 155. I did end up making a bet. Fight doesn't reach round 2 at minus 104. I think Lapicus is going to come out flying, similar to the pace that he had against Christian Lee. But at the end of the day, I think if Alvarez can withstand that pressure for those first 5 minutes, we'll likely end up seeing Alvarez get the win in either the second or third round. But I did like that price at minus 104. I don't think that I think there'll be a finish here. But again, those odds are off the boards. It's pretty unfortunate. So what we're left with now is you got a minus 170 line on a fighter who's gone 5-4-1 in his last 10 fights. And he's 1-1 since coming into this promotion. And he's 2-2-1 in his last 5 fights. So that's really tough to get behind. And well, I'm picking Alvarez to win this fight. I'm not betting him at minus 170. So unless you can find that fight reaches round 2, no prop, I would suggest staying off this fight if it stays where it is at minus 170. And I think honestly, even if you're looking at a parlay piece, I would still pass on Alvarez because it's just not a positive EV bet. Like when it comes to weighing the implied probability against the true odds of what the percentage of both guys actually winning this fight are, it's just the line is off, I think, a little bit. I don't see any value on Alvarez. I would want to have like closer to a pick 'em, like minus 125 or minus 130, something like that. But minus 170, I'm not interested. And with that being said, I still don't see that much value on Lapicus here. This is Eddie's fight to lose, in my opinion. So as far as betting aside goes, it's a total pass for me, but I do have Alvarez winning this fight. Okay, the main event, the second fight of the main card. This is going to be great. Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson, the former UFC flyweight champion, the former flyweight GOAT before my man Devison Figueiredo showed up on the scene. And he's taking on a dangerous and very underrated Adriano Moraes, Maquinho, the current ONE FC men's MMA flyweight champion. And I'll say this without hesitation. I think that this might be Demetrious Johnson's toughest, the toughest test that he's ever had. Moraes is a elite level grappler, elite level jiu-jitsu player. He's a standout at American Top Team. He trains with guys like Jorge Masvidal, Pedro Munoz. And I think this guy might be one of the most elite non-UFC 135ers in the world. Like Horiguchi is up there, but I feel like Horiguchi is a little bit past his prime now. And if it's not Horiguchi, I think Adriano Moraes, but on the other side, we're talking about a guy in Demetrious Johnson. This guy, he's perfected this art of mixing up his striking and his grappling. He fakes takedowns. He comes in on this weird off rhythm. He really keeps his opponents guessing. And it comes down to this. When the odds first came out on this fight, as I talked about in my previous video, Johnson was lined at like minus 400. And it's since swelled all the way up to minus 900, which is just ridiculous. And if you're betting this from a value perspective, even though I wish we were able to get that juicy 7-1 line on Moraes that we're hoping for, there's just not enough value on either side here for me to make a strong, confident play on the money line. But we'll say this, and again, unfortunately, which sucks, and I hope we can probably figure this out going forward with these ONE Championship fight cards. But, unfortunately, we had some odds that were posted that I got my hands on. And then one of the props that I got was fight goes the distance at -130, which I jumped on rather quickly because I also jumped on Demetrious Johnson by decision at -105. And this is basically what it comes down to for me. If you're telling me you're giving me a -900 money line on the favorite with the market favoring the fight to go the distance, yet the -900 favorite is only lined at -105 to win by decision. It's just the market is just begging for me to do that. And so I jumped on this, and I set this up. So I bet a full unit on fight goes the distance -130. I bet 2.1 units on Johnson to win by decision. And then the way that this sets up with Moraes now at 5-1 odds on the money line, I went ahead and you set up a little hedge where I bet to win 2.1 units on Johnson, the bet that I made on Johnson by decision on the Moraes money line. So if it's as long as Johnson doesn't win inside the distance, I'm good here. And again, it's unfortunate that these props still aren't available because this is set up. If this was still set up the way that it is, I would recommend doing this. And then, the pick for me is Demetrious Johnson. But if we take a look at the odds right now, right, 1xBet still hanging just like +420, and even higher at BetChris +485. But if you want to get in on on best fight odds, SportsBet +595. So look, if you're giving me a choice here, but even on BetChris, if you're giving me a choice right now between Moraes at +485 or Johnson at -760, between these fighters, if I'm coming at this without any having any action right now on this, and I can only bet on these two money lines, I'm going with Moraes all day at +45, right? You're telling me Adriano Moraes only has a 17% chance of winning this fight? I don't think so. And yes, the longer that this fight goes, I think favors Mighty Mouse, but which is why I jumped on that decision prop. However, if you're weighing just right now, the +485 on Moraes versus the -780 on Mighty Mouse, you got to go with that +485 all day. So, yeah, let's review here before we wrap it up. It's kind of confusing setup because, with the odds coming off the board, I'm kind of giving a little bit of a reverse advice here, but I still see value on the bet that I made on DJ by decision at -105. That line, if somewhere in the world you can find that line, that's my best bet for this fight. But if you're asking me to make an educated opinion on the best bet to make right now, based on the lines that I see out there that don't have the props, it's on Moraes at +485. And then, you're getting 5-1 odds almost on an elite MMA fighter fighting a guy who, not taking anything away from Mighty Mouse because he's still the GOAT, but it comes down to basically, is he still at that level that we perceive him to be? And that's a bit of a drop off. Although I will say this about Miquinho, Adriano Moraes, he's had 3 losses in his MMA career, and all 3 of them were split decisions. So don't be surprised if this fight goes decision. And that's why I think I'm set up the best to have the by decision prop on DJ, And then the line got to the point where I got 5-1 odds at Pinnacle. This fight's not even available to bet on anymore at Pinnacle right now. But I got 5-1 odds on Moraes, so I set it up. So basically, 2.1 odds to win, 1.5 odds on Demetrious Johnson to win by decision. And then if Moraes wins this fight either by decision or stoppage, I win my money back. The only thing that kills me and I lose all my bets is if Mighty Mouse wins this fight inside the distance, where I just don't. I think that the odds are off. I think that he was lined at plus 110 to win inside the distance here, and I think the probability of him winning by decision versus him winning by stoppage is not like 15%. I think he should be like 3-1 to win inside the distance. So let's recap. You can get all my MMA picks absolutely free again at SparkSports.ca. They're posted right now on this event, so head on over there. So far this year, I'm sitting with an official MMA record of 118 and 133 for 4.4 units profit, and that record is verified via betmma.tip/Almac odds. So yeah, I am backing. Let's see if I can pull it up here. I'm backing the Russian in the first fight tonight. I guess it's not the first fight tonight. It's the feature bout on the prelim. So I'm backing the Russian to win with a 1% play at minus 150, and also a 1% play on fight doesn't reach round 3 at minus 102. And then I got a full unit. A unit for me is 2.5%. I got that on Alvarez and Lapicus. Fight doesn't reach round 2 at minus 106. And then we got the main event set up, a full unit, 2.5% stake on fight goes the distance at minus 130. And then a 2.1 unit play, which is 5.2% stake for me on Demetrious Johnson by decision at minus 105. With a little bit of a hedge on Moraes at 5-1 on the money line. So that sets up a wager where if Demetrious Johnson wins, I'm betting 2.1 units to win 1.5. And if Miquinho ends up getting the victory, I win my money back. So the only thing that really hurt me the most here is if Demetrious Johnson wins inside the distance. So I'm kind of fading him on in that instance. But I do see him having to withstand Miquinho's pressure for the first 2 rounds, and then the pace kind of slowing down to where we'll probably see Mighty Mouse just spamming takedowns, and it's just going to be up to Mighty Mouse to stay out of that dangerous, basically the guard of Moraes, because him pulling guard is super dangerous. So we're going to have 2 really high level, high paced, elusive wrestlers. So I'm pretty excited. And if Demetrious Johnson wins this, we got to start talking about, he puts his name back in the, he throws his hat back in the ring for one of the greatest smaller weight guys to ever fight MMA ever. So that's a wrap. Again, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow all the content. I'll follow all of our betting action, Spark Sports Bets, and on Instagram at Spark Sports Bets as well. I'll be putting all the action for the plays right after I'm done here on Twitter. And then most importantly, again, SparkSports.ca. So yeah, we got Bellator 256 coming up in 2 nights. We got UFC on ABC2 coming up. And then we'll be right back here next week, Wednesday, for ONE on TNT 2. So keep it locked, SparkSports.ca for all that content. I'm super excited to be doing this again, going through these fights. And let's keep winning. I'll post my plays right after we're done here. And I'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks a lot for watching.